Hey everyone, welcome back to Joy at Work. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content here. I really haven't talked a lot about leadership on this channel for a variety of reasons, but primarily because, while leadership is important and it's very critical, my observation is that people often give up their agency and their ability to change in the name of expecting somebody else in a leadership position to do something for them. So this channel has really focused on what we can do in our positions, in any position in the workplace, to create joy for ourselves, to foster joy for ourselves. But my last videos on needs and feelings and behaviors had some fellow leader friends of mine asking me questions. And the question they asked was simply this: if we can trace people's behaviors back to unmet needs, and we go and try and address their unmet needs, excuse me, does that mean we ignore their behavior, right? So if behavior is not what we're responding to, rather we're responding or trying to address unmet needs, how do we handle behavior or poor behavior, if you will? So someone, for instance, feels that they're not being heard, right, in a team setting. So a lack of connection, lack of meaning, fulfillment, and so they feel resented, they feel angry, and so they shout or they storm out or they do something else. As a leader, should I ignore that behavior? Okay, great question. Totally understand where it's coming from. And here's what I'm going to say. An unmet need does not excuse poor behavior. It simply doesn't, right? So, as a leader, you have to address the behavior. You have to make it very clear that that behavior is not acceptable. But as a leader, you can't stop there. We can't stop there. You have to now take the next step of trying to understand exactly what led to this behavior, what need was not being met, and then work with this individual to find ways to meet the need if it's possible. Understand that we can't always meet people's needs in the way they want for their needs to be met. Sometimes it's not a fit, definitely. But leaders have a moral responsibility, and yes, I said moral, have a moral responsibility to do the work of trying to help this individual or these individuals meet their needs, right? That's what we're asked to do. That's what we're called to do. So you don't excuse the behavior on one hand. You have to address the behavior. You have to be very clear that that behavior is not acceptable. But the work doesn't stop there. You need to, move forward and say, hey, how can we together? Because as a leader, you probably can't even solve this by yourself or address it by yourself. The individual needs to be a willing participant in shifting and moving as well. Like if they say it takes two to tango, everybody involved, leader, follower in this particular circumstance or situation, need to be ready to make some changes, to make some adjustments, to find a way to meet and fulfill the need, right? And so what I've observed in organizations is that leaders stop simply at addressing the behavior. They never explore what led to the behavior. They never explore the feelings this person is having, and they never explore the unmet need. And that's a failure of leadership. So if you're in a formal leadership position, and have those kinds of responsibilities and observe behavior that is not, in alignment or congruent with what your organization talks about, what wants to do, when an individual does something, then it's really important to address the behavior and and then talk about how do we meet your need? What can we do to meet your need? Hopefully there's a path to meeting the individual's need, and that should be the goal, that should be the desire, but the reality is sometimes there isn't, and that's okay. That's when it's appropriate for the individual to shift location, maybe go to a different role in the same organization, or maybe change organizations as well. Those things are all okay, but we're ultimately trying to achieve a state where we all experience joy and fulfillment at work. So, again, to be very clear, unmet needs are not an excuse for poor behavior, right? Poor behavior needs to be addressed while we try to also address the unmet need. Again, thanks for joining. Hopefully, this helps you as you lead if you're in a leadership position and dealing with some of these things. Hopefully, this will help you bring your folks along as you work with them. Bye.